Hi, so in this next tutorial we're going to add textures. The first thing we're going to do though is just set up the rest of our body, just fix up a couple of areas that need addressing. So the first thing is we need to freeze the transformations on the eye. So we're going to go to Modify, Freeze Transformations. That means when we duplicate it, it will appear in the exact position we need it. With the body, we just need to get the other side there, so we're just going to go down to Mesh, Mirror Geometry, select the box so we can get the settings, make sure on -X, merge with the original and merge the vertexes, and click Apply. And that should appear, there we go. And for the eye, we'll go to Modify, no, we'll go to Edit, sorry, not Modify. We'll go to Duplicate Special, get the settings up while pushing the box. So we want a copy, not an instance at this point. Probably won't need an instance. We'll go to Group under Parent, -1, one copy, so -1 here. The rest should be 1 and 1. Everything else 0. Click Apply, and we have our two eyes. Okay, so we close that. The next thing we're going to do is just tidy up the neck slightly. Okay, so I'm going to go put that down to 1. Go to Edge Mode, and obviously this is far too messy at this point, so we need to bring that further down. So I'm going to scroll, scale that to a straight line, bring that down, probably to about there. In fact, actually, let's just undo that, undo that again. Yeah, so those are selected, and let's just scale that. We just need to bring this point in, so I'll bring that in line with there. Go back to Edge Mode, bring these down to around here, to around there. Then what I'm going to do is turn on Soft Select, do about 50%, depends on your neck. You just want to select this rough area here. Okay, just bring that down a little bit more. And I'm going to rotate this around that now, like so. Bring that up slightly, scale out a little bit. We'll tidy this up in a second. Obviously I want to bring out this back as well, the back section. First thing I'm going to do though is just fix this vertex here, turn off Soft Select, take that back in again, select these few vertices at the back. Just make sure you've got the right amount selected, so we've got 3 there, so we need those. And in fact, actually I'm going to deselect those, so hold Shift and click them and it will deselect them. Go to Soft Selection, turn on Soft Select, and just going to pull that out slightly, like so. I'm then going to go to the edge here, turn off Soft Select, scale that down as well, and then just bring that down and rotate that again as well. Oh, Control Z if you have an accident like that. Back across, and then just reposition that up here. Then at the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing again. I want to select all of these sections here. And I'm just going to scale them to there. Just going to bring them up slightly as well. And what I need to do is probably just smooth this out slightly. We'll bring that back out in a second. If you want to see what's happening, obviously turn your lines on. Do need to get some more edge loops in around this section here, so So what we may need to do is insert some edge loops, but it's going to cause us issues where we've connected these off. So our best bet is going to be to try and get another layer, another edge around this section. So we'll worry about that later. We're going to, at this point in time, actually we should probably fix that very quickly. So let me just get some edge loops. Yeah, and as you can see, if we add one in there, we don't get that full connection going across. So we may have to quad draw some these in and move these connections further up. So how should we do it? So what we're going to do very quickly is multi-cut tool around the neck, and just to give us, if we don't have any edge loops there, when we try and bend the neck, it's just going to all collapse. So we'll get multi-cut, and we'll start here, and literally just this ring here we're going to draw across. We don't need to worry too much about if we miss if we miss things, because obviously if they're not accurate, because we can straighten those up later on. You can see I'm missing some sections and some edges, and it will automatically reference where to put those, but if you try to do too many, it might not pick them up, or it'll say it can't do it. So with that ring selected, we can push enter, and then what we're going to do is go into edge mode, double click to select the whole loop, push R, scale that in, and then all we need to do is bring that up slightly. We're going to delete these two faces here, and we're just going to pull. So these actually at the moment have 5 points. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 2 at the top. So we need to take these into quads. So we're going to go to target weld in vertex mode, and we are going to merge the target. So select the ones on the outside and take it to that center piece. So just be careful, because it might try and connect it to a vertex at the back. It happens quite frequently depending on your display settings, so just be careful of that. And then we have our edges submerged. So obviously what we can do now is if we just select both of those, scale that in, we use the edge, and these points here can just be taken in. And from there what we can do is take in so add another edge loop in, sorry. As I said in the last video, it's really early as I'm doing this, so my brain hasn't quite got into full gear yet. So we'll put that into there. So what should happen now, that gives us enough of a breathing space for when we add in our neck joint to bend. So with that done, we can now definitely start with the texture. So I'm just going to turn on 3, and we can sculpt and tidy up later on. But if we just take a look at that neck, you can see we've got sort of Adam's apple now showing around there, and we've got that lovely neck muscle, the sternum mastoid, coming through. Okay, and the next step of this journey is the textures. So we are going to work, so there's several types of textures that are associated with different renderers, okay, different rendering softwares. So these are all usually plugins that can be assigned to different 3D packages, but the things that we're going to focus on predominantly are the default renderers. So this is Maya Scanline, and with that we're going to use the basic Maya materials that come with the package. So we're not going to necessarily unwrap UVs that would be the sort of traditional methods within games and within animation, when you want to assign a sort of t-shirt or anything with a set design on it. We're going to work purely with colour and work with the default thing, materials. And the reason for this is it's going to give us a level of consistency throughout all of our designs, which will then look like they are part of that same world. And that is the most important part here, that they look like they are from the same world. So on this window, we've got a preview of our material, and you can change what that looks like here. You can have a T part, you can have the shadable, which sort of shows how the texture looks from every angle. You can have an ocean splash, you know, you can do all sorts. But I'm just going to stick with the cloth because that's going to be the most, we're going to have a cape at some point, so this seems the most sort of accurate thing to be previewing with. Over here we have our resources, and you can see where I've imported my eye materials in there. And we do have some additional Lamberts here, which I'm just going to quickly delete because I don't actually need them, and it's not letting me delete it. Okay, let me delete those ones. Let's undo that. Obviously that one is attached to our object. We definitely, I don't think we need that. We don't need that. Yes, we do need that. So again, I just want to get rid of these materials that aren't in use. That one's in use, so let's delete that one. That one's for there, and we'll leave those others. Okay, so in this list you will see a big list of different materials. Now they all do different things. They won't necessarily mean if you go to ocean shader it will attach an ocean into the scene. It doesn't work that way. Some of them may, some of them, a lot of them won't. So if we go into this menu and select Maya here, you will see the default materials that are used. Okay, and predominantly we've got Blinn. Okay, so do some research and look what these are up for. So Blinn's quite a shiny material, a bit slightly glossy. Let's just move these out of the way, we don't need to see them. We've got a Lambert, which is a matte object, so anything that isn't shiny or glossy. Okay, then we have Fung. Where is that one? Down here. Oh, got too far out. So the Fung again, this is a much more shinier material, as you can see. Look how waxy that looks. And then we have which is a really glossy material. Then we have Fung E, which is similar, but again that shine goes a lot further. It's a little bit more diffused. Okay, so the Fung is a really crisp shine, really quite glossy. This Fungi has slightly more reflectivity on it on a larger surface. So these are the four materials that are predominantly wants to work with. So with the skin, depending on what your character looks like, it may have loads of different variety of colours. We can select all of those faces. So if we go to, in fact, let's change the colour of these first. So if we go to, so we can actually see that in action. So if we go to our Lambert, and skin would make a really good, would be ideal with Lambert because it might be glossy, you might be greasy, your character might have a different type of skin. That's up to you. So if your character has shiny skin for whatever reason, then use it. If you want your character to be invisible, then you would definitely use like a Blinn or a Fung, so you can see the reflection of light. But as my character doesn't do that at this moment in time, I'm going to create a skin colour. So in the colour settings onto the right hand side, I can turn on find a colour that matches a sort of skin tone. Now skin is made up of many different colours. It's made up of reds, blues, greens, yellows, purples, blues. They all come together. So again, that's quite difficult to do with one colour selection. So I'm just going to go for this sort of peachy colour, maybe a little bit of a tan. There, I'm going to go to the side view, and I'm just going to go up and select all the faces around the head. In fact, let's do object first. So if I select the object and go assign materials to selection, you will see that it has now assigned that texture to the selection. It's even got the eyeball in there, so let's just undo that. In fact, we can select the eye shape, and I can very quickly go in, just select those faces, assign materials to selection, select the faces at the front, so just double click on them, and go, and then right click and assign materials to selection. And that's the other way to assign these, is to go by face. So for the rest of the body, at this moment in time, let's just turn that back. I'll go do the other eye as well. So I'll go into face mode, double select this side, and do the whites, and then select the inside, and do the back. There we go. Okay, so for the body, we can just go through and select the faces. So I'm going to select, because we want the back part down. Let's go into the front view. Let's just hide this very quickly. Let's go orthographic and front. I'm just going to go through and select everything up until around this bottom ring of the neck, because it will make it easier. So if we go to panels and perspective, you'll see I've got that section there. If that's going to give him that bit of the neck, I'm just going to double select that ring. So you hold shift and go over. So go as small as you can, because you don't want to select any of the faces, because you can see it's now selected those. So if I just undo that, small line, and it will remove it. Cool. So what I'm going to do is go to the hypershade, and I'm going to assign one of the, so put my window back up, the glossy material. So I'm going to go with Fung 1. Yeah, we'll go with Fung 1. And we'll assign that to viewport selection. Okay, now it's really important that you don't select the object rather texture material, because what will happen is it will deselect this. It won't allow you to retain your selection. Okay, now obviously we can see here our body has this material on, but I want to actually change the colour of that, so I can go to the Fung 1. Browser's popped out there, and I'm going to change the colour. You could do like a red, kind of like the Incredibles, maybe blue, or you could obviously select your own. Okay, not quite like the idea of just going for a, I think I'll go for an orange. Okay, and at this point, obviously, it's okay. Obviously, if my character's invisible, you can turn on the transparency, and you can test what this looks like actually by selecting this window here, which will take a render of your scene, and you can see the character. So it's doing this because we haven't smoothed the character yet. So my best advice is, before you do that, if we create a duplication, so if you go to Control D and push W and just pull that across. Oh, escape. Right, let's go again. No, I don't. Okay, I don't know what's happening here. Let's just go to another move tool. Right, let's push W. There we go. Right. So if we pull this across, and this time we're going to go to Mesh and Smooth. We'll just give it a second to do that, calculate that. There we go. And if we go to render the viewport now, we're able to see how that shine works. So we've got quite that sort of latexy material on, which is cool. So I'm just going to quickly duplicate both of the eyes, just to fill into that model as well. So Control D, push W, and it worked that time. Okay, I don't know what happened before. Don't worry about being exact. Obviously this is just for test purposes. And what I'm going to do this time is create, I'm going to add a face mask onto the faces of the eye. So again, we do have quite a lot of faces there to have to select. So again, we can just go through and just start selecting the rings that we want to add that mask to. So if you select the first one, go to one to the right, it will select those rings. Undo. Okay, so you need to do 2 in a row each time you go to do the selection. And then just do the same over this side. Oh god, it's annoying. Right, and select these faces here. And then obviously we just have to go in and select these in the center, which there are quite a few. Let's just zoom right in just to make that a little bit easier. So again, this might just take a second to do. And obviously we don't want to double click these because it will select the whole ring that goes round to the back of the face. It's going to push Q there, which will bring up the actual just selection tool. And then I'm going to assign that same orange material to it, so we can go to assign materials to selection. We'll just give it a minute, and that will assign the material to those faces. There we go. Okay. So again, we may want to change the colour of the lips, which we're going to work on a little bit shortly, well later on. I would also, you know, you can add patterns into this as well. So again, you can create another type of Lambert, and you can rename these textures as well. So you can just call this, like, if you double select it in the attribute editor, you can call this material, so matte, orange, latex, and that's the skin colour. So we'll just Control X that to cut it, and we'll just go matte, so it's a material, and we'll go to skin, and we'll select this one, paste that in, and with our new Lambert that we just created here, we will, what colour should we go with? Like a red, but probably not that kind of, not a rich red, but sort of a more back purple. Let's have a look. I think a nice sort of, just a sort of blue purple will do, and we'll just call this matte detail. So it doesn't all have to be shiny if you imagine some fabric bits. Now obviously, if you've got a belt or anything on your character, you can obviously attach these materials to a set belt, whereas mine's like a latex suit. I'm just going to add this material to certain faces, just to give it a little bit more impact. And we'll add 2 on either side of this leg here, one around the knees. Some around the legs. some around the arms as well. So as you won't do here, we'll do this side, and we'll do around the wrist. Do 2 there. So I'm trying to get the same ring, which is that one on that bend, just above the elbow. Fix this one here. If not, we can fix it later, and we'll just select these 2 as well, and we'll go into our hypershade, and obviously that's the render view. We'll go into our hypershade, and then we'll we won't select the material, but we'll hold over our new Lambert, which is this one here, the matte material detail. Go assign to new materials to selection, and then once it's done calculating and processing the light and shadow responses, it will show up on our design. So obviously that takes a second because we've got the hardware texturing on. So if we sort of just pull away from that now, just go to object mode, you know, we can see that design. And again, with your, if you've got separate trousers or anything like that, you can add that to those sections. Okay. Obviously you can model your own hair, add ears in, so don't be afraid to do those. Obviously I haven't covered all elements because you need to apply them yourself. So with the textures, we're going to stick with those, and hopefully all of our characters will then feel as though they're from the same world, and we can have our superhero and supervillain lines up, which should look pretty cool. So in the next video we're going to look at lighting, and setting up a 3-point light system. Yeah, have fun, and I will see you there.